Live.
Bang!
Hello,
Bolt Action
hello. Welcome to Thursday night Bolt Action News Group chat. Thank you all for joining us. We got Captain Off with us and Wrights Crispy with us and me, News Now South. And Captain Off is trying to set up our guests here in a little bit. But we'll take this moment to chat and say hi while we're waiting for the guests. So hello,
warm things up.
Let me go check on them.
Yeah, Captain, go check it out, and we'll hold down the fort.
What do we have in here? 4 watching now. Thanks, Morgan McLaughlin. Bang. 6 watching. I think everybody's at the Resistance and Wolfie's live accident. That must be what's happening.
I do not know what just happened. Sorry about that.
Don't let it happen again.
Rights Crispy, nice to see you. It's been about, what has it been, about 20 hours since I've seen you last?
That was a fun few days, man.
It was. I was just up in the Tampa area, the St. Pete Largo area, hanging out with Crispy, doing some auditing. I'm sure we'll get some content up soon.
Yeah, and we've got some good fails, but we've got some really good passes. I think that was the best thing about the trip is how good the passes were.
It was amazing, and a lot of auditors don't put those passes up, but you and I
worthy, view worthy.
They'll be coming soon. And we had a good mix of half pass, half fails, where a couple of the employees or citizens were a fail, and a couple of them in the same location were a pass.
Damage controlling, yeah. It's like, hey, no, these are the guys we were telling you about. Yeah.
Yep, that was nice.
The ones who say they're we the people, the ones we're supposed to serve.
Hello, Jay Wise.
Hey, HBR.
Manny Pants.
Tom Heatley, Free Thinker.
Free Thinker. Is this the same Free Thinker that I just commented to on my page earlier today?
Manny Pants.
Nice comment. It might be. I'm not sure.
Sure, go ahead, brother. Manny Pants has a question.
Go ahead, Manny Pants. Where is it? Let's just have a question.
Power to all the people, brother.
Constitutional law is truth. What's up, buddy?
Hillbilly Patriot. Sorry I missed you, man. We were out and about. Hillbilly Patriot held down the fort last Tuesday.
Yes, we weren't on. That is correct.
Not an imposter. Hey.
Not an imposter. I like that.
You really did? Thank you, Piner, for watching.
All right,
but
guys.
Don't cry.
Our guest said it's going to be about 10 minutes, and then they'll be coming in. So I guess we could do some small chat or some questions.
Right on, yeah.
Well, we're waiting on a question from Manny Pants right now.
Yeah, he's probably typing it out. Constitutional law is truth. Hi from California. Thanks for looking forward to us. Hi, Jay Wise. Free Thinker, thanks for educating OVT. He didn't know. We're actually going to try to reach out to Bang Energy Drink, see if they want to sponsor us. That'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool. They kind of blew up. They're pretty big now.
You know what I knew when I first found out about it? No, this is just a polo shirt. When I first found out about Bang Energy Drink, it's because one of my cop watches, Officer Maria of the Clearwater Police Department, was talking about how he has a channel, and he does, and I checked it out. It's Mikey Mo Vlogs. Mikey Mo Vlogs. Go check him out. Tell him that Bang sent you. And he lost his Bang sponsorship, and I was like, perfect. They dropped the cop. They're gonna pick up the up.
That'd be great. So I guess this is Manny Pants' question for you, Wrights. Has anyone heard from Desert Goat? It's really tiny. he had court on the 2nd and hasn't posted since. Really worried. Is that the question? I don't know.
Desert Goat. I don't know who that is.
I don't either. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, Wolfie was talking to some people who were right in between. Thanks for asking if we were going to be on tonight and coming over to find out. But yeah, Wolfie was talking to some people who were right between the cars that got smashed together. Hey, Peanut, you okay too, right? Peanut 411 was there, right? Was that you that who I saw?
That's what you said right before we went live, right? So I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I know they're in Atlantic City, which is pretty awesome.
Are we going to discuss abolishing police unions? There's not much to discuss. I'm pretty sure everybody on this chat would agree we should get rid of police unions.
Yeah, and I don't speak for everybody, but for myself, I would say that I am not a union buster, and I believe in unions in professions or regular jobs that don't hold you to a higher standard than regular citizens, where police are. Police have the power to murder somebody, and you don't really do that at a plant where you're working and you're in the union for better hours. Right. These guys are in the union to get off with paid vacation when they kill someone.
Yeah. Judy, thank you so much. We appreciate that you recognize we're doing a good job. Indie News Now, always nice to see you. And he's saying it looks that he thinks it was Peanut's car.
There's Indie News on the street. I think it was Wolfie's car.
Oh my God, I do that. I do that to Indy every time. I'm so sorry. Indie News. Obviously I have a bias skew towards News Now, so I apologize.
Hey, Snapface. Yeah, HPR, abolish qualified immunity. And you know what they like to say to us? If you just obey the law, you don't have anything to worry about. So, yeah, there goes your qualified immunity. Just obey the law and you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. So Peanut has confirmed it was her car that was involved.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
Thank you, Indie News on the Street, for forgiving me. And it's the first time I've ever said it correctly the first time.
Oh, I don't know. Manny Pants. I don't know how many languages. I never stop to count them. I just try to learn as much as I can whenever I can. And I'll forget some stuff and then remember it later. And it's just a lot of different countries and different languages and different.
Oh, yeah. Peanut says there were some individuals arrested.
Oh, yeah. I think somebody was trying to peel out and stuff, right? And, you cause that's reckless driving, which is an arrestable offense. There's victims there. There's a crime. People's property was damaged, right?
Yep. Why can't officials do their job? Piner, that would be a very long conversation, and I'm sure it's a dynamic answer. Also,
and I'm sure we've given you several invitations to join us. you have to come on, Inspector.
Yeah.
What's up, Antichrist? B.O.L.T. Oh, the conspiracy theorists are going to go nuts over that one. I just gave you that sign. They're like, I knew it. I knew Reg Crispy was a Mason.
Oh, I didn't catch it. That's funny. Captain,
you got to cover your eye with the OK symbol.
There you go.
No, that's Mormon. Everyone knows that's Mormon.
Is it? I don't know.
No, that's the Christian Scientologists. I'm getting attacked from three ends right now. Yeah, the OK sign, that's white supremacy.
What's this from HPR? What about the new trade agreement? 2,000 plus pages long, blah, 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 blah. Forced to pay union fees. That happens in a lot of places for for union. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Is this a cop thing that he's talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the occupation, a union part there.
Yeah, I don't know either. But there are occupations where it's an automatic union and you automatically pay dues whether you agree or not.
Hey, not an imposter.
The bar.
Oh, go ahead, Captain.
I was saying the bar. It's a union that's automatic. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to be a bar member. There's no two ways around it. It's a private union just like any other union.
And like realtors too, kind of like to be in the association of realtors. Well, to have like MLS and stuff, you kind of have to be there if your broker is, you're obligated.
Right. Yeah. The whole licensing scheme for occupation that all came about during the New Deal with Roosevelt. When they started licensing people to perform their jobs instead of letting just a free market. See, a lot of people talk about the free market, but we don't really have a free market in the state. Free market dictates that less regulation. If somebody's building shoddy homes, then obviously they're not going to be used. That's the free market response. He'll probably be charged with a crime, and obviously no one will use his services anymore. Instead, now they just license you and they regulate you down, so that way the only people that can make money is the connected people, or the people that'll pay the fees and the kickbacks and shit like that. People that got money. So that's what that's about.
Piner. Oh, go ahead. I thought you were done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Piner, first off, I'm not sure where GA is tonight. He might be working. I didn't hear from him before this stream went live. And second question, Rogue, this is best for you, I think, from Piner. How long does a civil suit take? And Piner read up to 3 years is what they read.
Yeah, it's not even up to. It could be longer.
Yeah, well, yeah, again, it depends. But usually most of them are tracked out at about 2 years. So once you file your case, you'll get I want to say it's like an itinerary that the court sets up about when they want certain paperwork filed and when you can have certain motions and discovery and stuff like that. So usually they try to track it out, like I said, about 2 years. At least the ones that I've seen so far.
How about what happened there? I must have clicked on something.
So, Not an Imposter says, I'm so freaked out right now. I've been advocating to boycott China-owned American businesses. Now the hacking of my crap is getting crazy. Getting text in Chinese. Is that for real? Because I've seen you making some weird comments, like trolley comments. So I don't know whether to take you seriously or not. But if you are being serious, that's no surprise. And it could be retaliatory to businesses who have gotten an email or an actual hard copy letter like I shared with our group a couple weeks ago. Remember that? My friend who's a lawyer, owns a law firm. He got a message from the Financial Bureau, I guess. Wasn't it the Financial Bureau? To find out if he's a Chinese-based company or if he's American-based company. It was like, let us know either way so we could monitor you some more. It was the weirdest letter I've ever seen from the government. Have you seen a weirder letter from the government, guys?
I have not seen a weirder letter from the government.
No, it was kind of dumbed down, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a Twilight Zone-ish.
Let me see if I can pull that up. I'll send it to you, who's now South Florida.
Captain is a squared circle. That's what Snapface says. I'm not sure what that means.
No squares on this panel, man. We're hip.
Piner says getting impatient that they filed their civil action or their civil lawsuit in 2017. Yeah, I would say do a follow up on that. That's a long time to be waiting for something.
Yeah, tell them thank God they don't have viewers that are like, "What's up with that lawsuit?" Like I said in my last video, it's not a half-hour sitcom.
Yeah. HPR's point was why lump so much BS in a trade agreement that has no relevance to trade. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's talking about. I'm not up to date on whatever trade agreement he's referring to.
It's kind of like we screwed ourselves. We charged ourselves a lot more to collect things from other countries. So it's not the other countries. They'll just sell to somebody else because there is a demand everywhere else in the world. And we're just going to be SOL paying more either way. He thinks he's attacking them by doing that. It's just moronic. Just same reason. We're not going to get into politics, though. We're apolitical and a-religious.
Yeah. So Joe Public said that earlier there was a post on the Real News Network that First Amendment auditor arrests were on the rise. And here's his follow-up comment. Police are making more and more arrests based on social media posts. And he also says that came from the Real News Network's last video or recent video.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the recent video. I saw the title for it, but I didn't watch it.
I need to go get some patriotic sour patches.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got a whole bag of them. Judy was threatened with arrest for 30 was threatened with 30 days in jail because of dogs barking. That doesn't sound good. Did you see the officer punch the girl? You mean slap the girl?
Right. They keep on saying slap. That dude clocked her.
Closed hand slap. Yes, we saw that, Piner. That was pretty crazy. And then he resigned already, right?
Did he?
I'm not sure. Maybe I read some. GA sent us something about somebody resigning. Was that not that cop? Was that somebody else?
That was somebody from his area. Who went over to
that was
Eyes on the States. Yeah, the guy who trespassed you guys, right?
Yeah, he trespassed us from the Winter Haven bus terminal.
Yeah, fill us in on that. What's been happening with that?
None. We just, we've been back and forth with a lawyer numerous times. You have been one of the participants in that foray. So, I'm just waiting for it to come up in my rotation to file the paperwork. So hopefully that should be in the next couple of months. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, what happened, how I got involved is that GA, Government Accountability, wrote an email requesting records as to, like, I don't know what it was, their policy or their trespass. They wanted to see what it was. And they told him, no, you got to talk to the lawyer. So there's a lawyer for the Transit Authority. And he told him, no, I've been watching your videos. And since you're going to sue, I can't give you the records. I have to give it to your lawyer if you have one. he was just really snarky about it. And I was like, okay, let me, a separate citizen. If you're watching, dude, I'm not the same guy. Let me clarify that here on video. I asked for the stuff, and he was like, oh, I know it's you. He thought it was Government Accountability. I'm not going to give it to you on this email either. I'm like, dude, I'm a totally different person. And we went back and forth like on 10 or 15 emails, just snidely remarking each other back and forth. And I told him, did you go to Florida Upstairs College and Karate University? Because it seems like you might have matriculated there and you are an alum based on your actions and your emails. Because fuck you would have somebody in their alumni. So then he kept on. He finally gave me the records, and then he kept on emailing me, and I was like, "Okay, shut up, you're done. Don't contact me again." And he contacted me again, and I was like, "Okay, that's enough. I'm telling you, don't contact me." And he contacted me again. I said, "Now that's harassment." And if you guys don't know that law, look up the Florida state statute on harassment. And I told him, "You got an ACAP complaint coming, and it's kind of like what you do against a lawyer." And it's filed against in the bar association against them, and it's like having the IRS come to your law firm. It sucks. So if an attorney acts up and tries to do something that you know is wrong, consult another attorney first, and then file a complaint against him. He stopped, and then months later, I guess government accountability asked him something else, and he replied, "Everybody." And I was like, "What are you doing contacting me again?" He stopped again. You guys want to hear this letter? Dear State of Florida vendor.
What's your opinion on no victim, no crime police enforcement? And then I'll follow up that with this, which kind of goes along with it. If you get a ticket for window tint, why do you need ID? Can't they just write a ticket to the registered owner? It's a good question. I guess once you break a ordinance, which is a law, they now have the right to ID you. So
look, he's not South Florida State here, and he didn't even make his bed when he left. Look at that.
No, that's not true.
What a slob.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I made that bed before I left.
He did make that bed. I messed it up earlier today thinking of that.
So what was the first question? Not Mike Z's question, but what was the first question?
The first question was, what is your opinion on victimless crime or something like that? There it is. What is your opinion on a no victim, no crime in police enforcement?
That's more along the lines of a natural law kind of standpoint. The do no harm, no crime type deal. And I'm all for that perspective. Unfortunately, for the state, there's not a lot of money in that outlook, which is why we've got all the restrictive laws that we have now. It's just a continual money operation, and the reason for that is because they're continuously borrowing money. So as you know, if you were to continuously borrow money yourself in your own personal life, you'd have to come up with more and more ways in which to pay off this debt or the interest on this debt, if you're continuously borrowing year after year. So that's what our government's doing. They're continuously borrowing year after year, and they're coming up with creative ways to pay for that borrowing. Some of it is, done through, taxes, fines, fees. There was something, I want to say it's Pennsylvania somewhere, where they made it $10 that if you were a blind person, you had to go to the state, pay this $10 to get this certificate that said that you were blind. So I mean, they come up with the most creative ways in order to just suck the money out of you. And again, really, when you break it down and when you add it up, all the taxes, all the fines, all the fees, whatever it is you do in your life, if you're fishing or boating or however you tend to enjoy yourself, I mean, it's all riddled with it's all riddled with licenses and registrations and fines and fees, and you're spending so much money every year. If you were to add this up, it would be insane how much money you're spending every year to the government. And at one point, you just have to step back and say, when is enough enough? When is enough of my money going to be sucked out of me for the amount and level of service that I receive for this money? I mean, it's terrible, just the way the public servants talk to us. Should never be tolerated again at the level of money that we're paying. I mean, we're we're not taking home half our income for the year. Once we pay the government its just due, and we pay the companies their cut, which they pay the government. And it's a sad situation.
Yeah, we were shocked. Wrights Crispy and I were shocked yesterday when we went. Wrights, you'll have to refresh my memory. It was up near you, but was it Pinellas Park when we looked at the CAFR, and we were shocked at the amount of money that they spent for the year?
Oh yeah, it's like a really small town, and it was like $23 million or like $2 billion. I don't remember what it was.
It was nuts.
Yeah,
we looked at each other in disbelief.
Yep, we were incredulous. So speaking of incredulous, I don't know if this is legit. It says Florida Department of Financial Services, but it has a .com address. Thank you for your continued partnership with the state of Florida, United States of America. We're attempting to identify the vendors who are controlled by the Communist Party of China. What's up with that? That's not legit. Vendor relations at My Florida. Well, My Florida sounds legit because it's My Florida. I don't know.
Did it come
What
from
do you
the?
guys think? Did it come from the what?
Nah, nothing. It doesn't look legit to me.
It doesn't, right?
No.
That's how they get you. I've gotten like 3 calls from the Social Security Administration saying that that we're victims of fraud. Press 1 if we want to talk to an agent. They're like, hello, what is your name? I'm like, you tell me, you called me. What are you talking about? And they hang up.
Yeah. No, I witnessed your awesome.
Right, I got another one today.
About 4 times in the last days. He just Wrights Crispy answers the phone. Ready? This is him. He puts it on. He answers it and puts it on speaker, and he says, "Hello, this line is being
recorded. This call is being recorded. Yep.
Yeah, this call is being recorded," and then it's like crickets, and they hang up.
Yeah.
Somebody attempted to jump on the panel just now for the people, but it says that the device is not connected. So for the people, if you are listening to the stream, I cannot let you up here because it says devices not connected.
Captain.
Yeah, that might be our guy, one of our guys.
Yes. Well, we didn't give out the link, so it has to be one of our guests.
Yep.
I know we got Hebrew Hammer coming on with a good connection, right? Here pretty soon. Is that right, Captain?
Who?
The Hebrew Hammer?
Coming on where?
On our stream, if not tonight, coming up soon, right? Have you talked to him about that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, I talked to PDF today, and he told me that he wanted to come on, and he's going to be with a good connection. And I talked to PDF to find out what the F happened yesterday when you and I were out auditing, and he got assaulted. Bro, my God. If you guys don't know, do you know about what happened, Captain?
No, I do not know. Oh, you talking about out in Mayo?
Yeah, it's time to rally the troops, bro. It's time for like mass audit time.
Yeah, out in Mayo.
Yeah, dude punched PDF in the chest, slapped his phone down, tried to smash it.
Oh yeah, we saw that.
In front of a cop, and then the cop drove away with the guy uncuffed, like made his getaway good, you know?
Yep.
And then retaliated against them.
Hey, for the people, it says that your guest will need to connect their mic and cam before you can add them to the stream. So you must have not hit the allow button when that window came up. So anyway, Yeah, we saw that. Ronald, you saw that too.
Yeah.
Crispy and I watched that while we were driving, looking for places
Well, I
to
didn't really
audit.
get to see what happened. I just got a message from the creators of Rice Krispie, a couple of friends of mine in California who first showed me the first
Did we not watch it?
auditing video.
Did
You
you and
did.
I?
You were driving and watching it.
Oh, okay. That's what it was.
I was in the passenger seat gripping onto the dashboard.
Yeah, I'm. For those of you who have been in the truck with me, it's not a pleasant experience. I'm
Pucker factor of 9.
but I have such a big truck, it doesn't matter because if we hit something,
We'll survive. Yeah. So yeah, my friends who are very reserved, they hardly ever text me like, "Hey, you got to see this." And when they did, they were like, "This is some crazy shit." I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is it?" And sure enough, man, for everybody who is watching this and everybody who is not watching this in this whole community knows Poor Dirt Farmer as a super cool dude. And for somebody to come up who outweighs him by maybe 250 to punch him, and that's just, we got to do something about that. All right,
gentlemen, how are you? Can you guys hear
welcome
me?
aboard, Titans Slayer
Yes.
Studios. Welcome
Good
aboard.
Your
to see
volume
you,
is a
bud.
little bit low where we can hear you. And for the people, it's still saying that you need to connect your mic and cam before I'm allowed to add you to the stream.
Okay. Let me
And
take
that
a look
also
here.
could be for the people. It could be that you have to close your browser and stuff and plug in your mic and cam when it's closed, and then open it up again so it'll recognize it.
Right on. Let me take a look. See.
Oh, is that you? Is he double cameraing us? Is that what's happening?
No, I don't think so.
He said, "Let me take a look-see," when we said that. Pioneer in Florida, what's the link? We're gonna have our guests on real quick for a little bit, and then maybe at the end we'll pop it up if anyone wants to jump in. But we definitely want you to jump in, Pioneer. I mean, unless anyone's opposed to it, I'll throw it up. We can let Pioneer in now. I don't know what we want to do, Captain. You're in charge tonight.
Usually the Tuesdays are what we have as the open forum, and yes, Pioneer still has in my book, she has an open invitation any night, but we do have to respect the guests who we've invited tonight and let them go on first at least. And if we do have to buy time, then please come on, Pioneer, help us with that.
How's my audio now? You guys hear me any better?
Yeah,
Crispy, one would say.
Much better, Tyrant.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
on. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for being here, buddy. Looks like we're trying to get For the People in here. He's having an issue.
Yeah, I'm still not able to let them in. So yeah, For the People, it's still just saying the same thing to
I'll be
me.
right back, yo.
All right, Crispy. Oh, I'm sorry, Pioneer. You wanted the link to the PDF. I'm sorry. We'll get Crispy on that here in a second. Is that the PDF? I don't know who shared it. I don't remember who shared it. So, Tyrant Slayer Studios, how's it going?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm sorry I'm a little late. Was kind of
that's
wrestling
great.
with the kids a little bit. Yeah,
You messing with your tech a little bit.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I've been playing around quite a bit and shifting the studio around a little bit here and there. Got a new mic, got a new headset. We're just trying things out for the first time tonight. We'll see how it works.
Well, right now we can hear you perfectly clear, and the camera's looking good too. So,
Most excellent. Most excellent. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all you guys. I've been watching you guys for quite some time, and each of you got some very good content, very newsworthy, very educational for everybody. So I'm honored to be here, and this gentleman that reached out to me is looking to kind of rally some support, rally the troops, if you will. I think I got the right guys involved here this evening. I'm sure we can hash out some good ideas for this guy. You guys are going to be a bit shocked with his story. I was a bit perplexed myself, so it should be a good time.
We're looking forward to it, and us here at, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I'll speak for the whole group anyway. Us here at Bolt Action News Group are always willing to reach out to our supporters and throw some support in the right directions. So that sounds like something to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you got there?
I still got nothing from For the People. It's still just a gray screen sitting here saying devices not connected.
All right. Let me call him, convey that message here.
All right.
See if hang on.
Yeah, give him a shout real quick. That might be what Rogue Nation did. He may have jumped off to call them.
Oh, I see. Okay.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. News Now, South Florida. I tried to email you with phone and didn't work. So I guess I wrote down the wrong. So give it to me. Oh, you want my email? Is that what you're asking for? I'll put it in the SWFL, as in Southwest Florida. SWFL News Now at Gmail. I'm going to pop it in here too. At gmail. If anyone wants to email me, that's the email. Southwest Florida, SWFL News Now at gmail.com. I did that on purpose. Now that, I'll let the trolls know now that I've been up for a while. I purposefully made my email slightly different from my actual channel name, only because when I give my email out, or the theory was at the beginning, when I gave my email out to places for public records, it wouldn't be easily found what my channel was. Now I don't care, but I'm stuck with it now.
Yeah, right on. He's going to go ahead and close down his browser. He did it basically polar opposite of what Wrights was saying to do. So he's going to just go ahead, make sure his devices are good to go in the OS. Go ahead, reopen the browser, refresh the link, and see if we got some luck. He'll call me if he has an issue.
Yeah, it's like the hokey pokey. You have to do it all in the right order, or else it's just.
Buggy, yeah, and don't feel bad. Every single week we have technical issues without fail. Every week.
Oh yeah,
we are the technical issue channel.
You guys do remarkably well. You hide it pretty well.
Well, not anymore. It's crispy. Now it's out.
Yeah. I declared as champions.
Oddly enough, my youngest sister had a falling out with her first husband, and I haven't talked to him for quite some time. He was a great guy. I always got along with him. Wrights Crispy has like the identical voice. So before I actually saw the face on camera, I was like, oh my God, did this guy get into First Amendment auditing? Oh my God, is this Paolo? Is this Paolo James?
Did you comment that? I think you commented that.
I did. I had
I read that. I remember that.
Yeah. I was like, holy Christ, that could be my
I'm sorry to interrupt, but For the People, it just did the same thing. It came up with a gray box that says devices not connected, and it says that you need to connect your mic / cam before I can add you.
Okay, I'll let him know. Maybe he could try connecting from his cell phone instead. I think he's on a computer.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. That might actually be better anyway.
Okay.
A lot of times that's better for people. Computers tend to have a lag and a loop, and the phone. How's it going, GA?
Let's see what happens here.
We're continually learning stuff here in the here in StreamYard. Last Saturday, I had 7 people in here.
Yeah,
you're cutting in and out a little.
Yeah, you were cutting in and out a little bit on us, bud. You had people in here.
7. We had 7 people on the panel.
What? How did that happen? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah. Neither did we.
New thing. Wow, 7 people on the panel we missed. Great. No, we were there for a little bit. It's just we had to go and fight our way out of a bad neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
That video is coming soon. I was contemplating whether or not to share it, but I mean, News Now South Florida just I gotta commend you on your bravery. I grew up in the hood, and I know when you're not punking down if you walk away. Hey, we don't have to end up ugly tonight. We don't have to fight. News Now South Florida is like, I'll fight. I didn't give a fuck. And I was like, no, come on, dude, let's get the fuck out of here. And we finally did. Guilty. We did, and we took our faces, saved them with us, you know.
Listen. I knew I wasn't going to get into a fight because the guy took the time to take his shirt off, and then he took the time to tie his shoes, and then he took the time to tie his...
It was a lot of peacocking.
And his athletic shorts. Meanwhile, he was circling me, you know, and wording me and telling me to get the F out of here while he was tying his shorts and tying his shoes. Come on, he wasn't going to do anything.
No, he was gonna snag at least one punch on you, bro, and that's when I was gonna have to jump in.
Well, yeah,
and then his friends would have jumped in, and we would have been outnumbered, and the cops were just in the background watching.
Yeah,
are we going to take to jail tonight? Yeah, who's going to Pinellas County jail?
The cops wanted to see an auditor get into a fight. You know damn well that's what they were doing.
It was a cop who you might have seen in Eyes on the State and Eyes video at the health department in Clearwater, where he was with For the People. That worked, right?
All right. All right.
I think he had to use his phone, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, I had to set up to DuckDuckGo, and of course, it won't let me through. I had to change the whole setting.
Well, welcome aboard For the People.
Hey, thank you.
Hey.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Can you hear
me? Yeah, you sound pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up now.
Okay.
All right, Cap. You're up.
Yeah, so obviously tonight we're bringing up For the People. He's got a story to share with us about some stuff that he's going through. So we're going to give the floor over to him and let him tell us, what's on his mind and what he's been going through, and see if we can help him out with any thoughts or maybe some directed calls maybe to some people or however we can help this young guy and hopefully see how justice can be done. So go ahead, For the People. Go ahead and tell us about it, man.
Yeah, tell us your truth, man.
All right. So here's my situation. So I'm traveling through New Jersey, and I get pulled over for a headlight. And of course, my situation, I'm carrying my my property, which is my weapon, holster to my, of course, my belly, right in my concealed area. And when I got pulled over, the whole situation was pretty fluent, but as soon as he came up, the cop asked me, of course, license, registration, and so I asked him, I was like, what are you pulling me over for? Well, I'll tell you after you give me your stuff. I was like, no, would you pull me over for? So he told me, and so I just started looking for all my stuff, and I knew I didn't have my registration. I mean, I did have my registration, but I knew I didn't want to give him my license. So I just started fiddling around with all the paperwork in between. So right there and then, he probably thought that I was already like suspicious. I don't know, but I give him my license anyway. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna go get my registrations right there in the glove box. I go for my glove box. I open it up, and I totally forget that my my magazine. There's 2-round magazine in my pouch, upside down, black side up. Of course, you can't really tell it's a magazine with a loaded pouch with loaded magazines. So as soon as I open it up and I see that, I cover it with my hand, and then I reach with my left hand for the paperwork. And of course, the cop's trying to look in there real quick. And as soon as I grab the paperwork, I close it up, and he's like, "What is that?" I was like, "Nothing. None of your concern. Here's my my paperwork." And then he asked me again, "Was that a weapon?" I was like, "No, it's not a weapon. It's none of your concern." So he stepped back from the vehicle, and when he stepped back, he started with his of course, calling for backup. And I waited a few minutes. Next thing I knew, I was being pulled out the car. And when I got pulled out the car, I got put in front of their car, behind my car, and now I had 3 cops around me. And the cop that originally pulled me over, he asked me again. He was like, "What do you have in the car?" I was like, "Oh no." He asked me, "Is there a weapon in the vehicle?" Of course, my weapon originally wasn't a vehicle because I had it on. But now that I was stepped outside the car, I answered truthfully and said, "No, there is no weapon in the vehicle." So before he stepped towards the passenger seat, I said, "Hey, I invoke my Fourth Amendment right to not be searched and seized." And so he stopped. He looked at his sergeant, and the sergeant said, "If you have probable cause, go right ahead." Which probable cause, of course, you need a warrant from a judge under oath or affirmation to search my vehicle. That is probable cause. But right there on the spot, him saying probable cause and then he searches it anyway, totally illegal. So he went to the glove box. He found my magazines, and he came back and was like, "Why'd you lie to me?" I was like, "Lie to you about what?" He said, "You." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "I said, lie to you about what? Are those weapons? You asked me if I had weapons." He shut up. He didn't say anything. And as soon as I said that, the other cop was like, "Oh, do you have a weapon on you?" So without me saying anything, they frisked me anyway, found my weapon. Right there, I remained silent the whole time. And they never said they never said their Miranda rights to me. They just put me in a car and took me away to their jail cell. And at the jail cell, I actually did not give my fingerprints and did not identify myself in any way possible. And I didn't take a picture. I refused all of it because search and seize all the way through Fourth Amendment right. So they got me for obstruction. They got me for hollow point bullets that I had on me, which is legal in Connecticut. I'm from Connecticut, and I do have my Connecticut license, and my Utah license covers me more than 30 something states. Close, I think it's like mid 30s or something like that. And they gave me the gun charge, of course, in the record. And so they had me in jail for 5 days waiting to go to see the first judge, which is not even due process. I was supposed to see him right there and then. So 5 days later, I see the judge, and of course, I hired a lawyer, and he got me out. He got me out with a bond, $50,000 bond, and of course, my mother and my wife signed it under duress, and of course, trickery with the courts. And then within that month, I'm trying to call the judge, I mean the lawyer, to find out what's going on and what's the next step and this and that. I emailed him, I called him, he wouldn't answer, and so I sent him a letter of termination saying you're fired. I'm going to represent myself because he would not answer, and I only had like 2 days left, 3 days left before court, thinking that he's he thought that he had it all, and he told me not to worry about when we got to court, and I was like, "You're fired, like really." So of course I sent them green card return receipt. I sent the courts and the judge the green card return receipts of his termination letter. He showed up with a little bad attitude, and that day was not great. In court, when he came, he didn't even look at me, and when my name was called up, of course we went up, and he started just bitching and complaining about him receiving this letter and this and that, and I was like, all right, whatever. And of course, the prosecutor was like, "Yeah, I received it. I don't know what Mr. Roman's doing." but I hope he knows what he's doing. And so as soon as I try to start speaking, I only spoke after the lawyer and the prosecutor and the judge started making the next date, the next appointment for court. And I was like, what's going on? Like, they're already trying to make the next date, and I already fired my lawyer. What are they doing? So I spoke up. And when I spoke up, as soon as I said, I'm a man here at court, to present myself.
In New Jersey.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had my in New Jersey. Yep, Sussex County Court in New Jersey. As soon as I spoke and said those words, I had my lawyer, my ex-lawyer, in my ear, and then the other two, speaking whatever they were speaking. But my lawyer was like, "Oh, I urge you not to do this. You're gonna get contempt, this, and that." And I like stepped away from him. It was like, "Get away from me," So I tried to speak again, and this is when the judge said, he said something like, "Don't speak those words, or if you keep talking, I'll, put you in contempt and stuff like that." So then he asked, "So are you sure you want to still keep talking?" And I said, "Yes, it's my right to speak. Don't I have the First Amendment right?" And then I just started speaking again. Of course, they didn't put me in contempt because, of course, I invoked my First Amendment right there. So as soon as I started speaking again, the second time, the lawyer came right in my ear, started saying whatever. By the time I actually stepped away from him, the judge and the prosecutor already made the next date and stopped the whole court. So that was all through trickery, all through crazy stuff that day. At that time, that was my first time actually going up against these guys by myself, and I'd never experienced any of this stuff until then. Like, I've never really been to court and represent myself except for a speeding ticket one time. I challenged jurisdiction. I got off of that, but that was nothing compared to these. Then when it came to the indictment the second time, I actually challenged the jurisdiction of the court, and when the judge told me what I was accused for and whatever he was saying, I told him, I was like, "Look, I don't understand what the accusation's for. I'm here for for you to answer some questions for me to understand what's going on." So I asked him, "Where's the claim?" "Oh, we do things differently here." I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he started going on blabbing about the Constitution and his oath and stuff like that. And then he started going towards pleading me guilty. And I was like, "Where did that come from?" I told him, I was like, "Look, I still don't understand what's going on here. And plus, I don't consent to you pleading me guilty. That's you practicing law from the bench." So of course, he didn't like that, but he still said noted, and that was it. He said noted. So he still kept going on, pled me guilty, and moved forward with the case anyway. So that was in the month of February. So I got pulled over in the month of December 14th. January, at the end of January, was when I fired my lawyer, and that first February, in the first week, was that first appointment. That's what they call it, appointments. It's not court hearings or anything like that. It's actually appointments because everything's executive. And that second hearing was in the time of March. So it was about a month later. So this was my second time actually getting my feet wet with these guys. But since then, I've actually sent some paperwork. In that January timeframe, I actually sent negative averment challenging jurisdiction. I tried to send it to you guys, but my computer was all jacked up. For some reason, I couldn't find my password changed within 8 days. I was like, okay, everything just got jacked up with my stuff. So I tried to send you guys the emails.
Valiant effort.
Worried. But the letter, let me see, I have it right here. So the negative averment actually challenges jurisdiction, and the way I did it was more on the UCC side of things, not the Mann way, but the UCC way. And the UCC way, I kind of knew more about because I was studying that for the past 3 years at least. And this actually challenges all the jurisdictions in clever ways, clever wordings, the way I had it written. Let me look for it real quick. I think it's right here. But it baffles me because this negative environment with my authenticated birth certificate, and I can't remember what else, but I think it was an appearance sheet as well. I sent that to New Jersey a few months after I got pulled over and got arrested. But that paperwork alone, these 3 paperworks that I already sent to New Jersey originally, they ignored it. And then when I got pulled over in the month of July in New York, the violation of the bond in New Jersey, New York saw my paperwork and they dismissed it. They dismissed all the charges, everything. And I was like, you see, I knew that my paperwork. It's just New Jersey's being very, very hard. The prosecutor just doesn't like me at all. So he's trying to find any way possible to put me in jail for 13 years for a non-victimless crime, no claim, nothing under oath or affirmation.
Asinine right there. That's ridiculous.
Yep. And I'm just
13 years, and you had 2 magazines. You said two
2 magazines and hollow
something.
point bullets. Yes.
Hollow point bullets are what's recommended for when you're protecting yourself, so it goes through the bad guy, not through the wall, into your family and the other room next door or whatever.
Right.
But you said you have a concealed carry in Connecticut.
Yep.
There's no reciprocity in New Jersey, though.
Nope.
New Jersey, you have to go to a local police chief and get your permission from him if he deems it necessary because you have a valid threat, right?
Something like that, yep. I read the laws.
Yeah. So what's really getting you into trouble is kind of like, is it a sovereign citizen angle you're going with for the challenging the jurisdiction thing? Because
the sovereign, here's the thing too, the prosecutor always brings up the sovereign citizen, and I already know what the terms are with sovereign citizens because I used to be trained military police plus bodyguarding after I got out, and I was a military police for the National Guard in Connecticut with a lot of police officers, and they trained that sovereign citizens are a terrorist to the United States. And I was like, oh, so ever since January,
that's on the FBI list among constitutionalists as well.
Yep, and among veterans as well, and so since January or
Christians
February timeframe, the prosecutor's been calling me.
Christians on the list too?
Yeah, Christians are as well on that list as well.
February.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
But let me hold up just for a couple of minutes, gentlemen, before we delve too far down that road for the people. What got me started into law was what the law enforcement would consider sovereign citizen and sovereign citizen theories. And I looked at them for a long time. I've been reading law coming up on 10 years now. And again, what got me started in it was what the law enforcement considers a sovereign citizen people that they normally would call, quote unquote, a sovereign citizen. And I got to tell you, what I learned in those years was very specific, and that is that most of the information put out there on freedom and obtaining the de jure man is disinformation put out by our government in order to discredit those who are actually searching for the truth. What happens is that the government came up with public school, and they came up with a way to mold our beliefs, okay, and our beliefs in freedom and the Constitution and rights and property and that kind of stuff. And then what happens is they run
property.
Yeah, and private property and different stuff like that. But allodial title and all that other stuff. We can get in. I can go hours and hours on this stuff, but I'm trying to condense it here real quick. But so they've got all this stuff, and what they try to do then is they run the counterintelligence operation, which is they get on the internet, they form these groups like the Republic of the U.S. Tim's Republic of the USA that he got busted doing a couple of years ago, and L.B. Bork and a couple of these other gurus out there teaching freedom and state national and that kind of information. And what happens is they get this disinformation in there, but it jives with what the government's been teaching. So now you have the freedom movement out there online, and half of them will tell you that the government's been corrupted and taken over ever since the Civil War and the 14th Amendment. Then you have other parts of the freedom movement that'll swear that it happened with the New Deal and the confiscation of the gold. And, you get so many different dates on when the government was supposedly overtaken and overthrown by liberals and by communists and by socialists and Marxists and whoever else you want to throw in the
second
pot.
year. Federalist versus...
Right. So... that is why no one there's been nobody that has made any kind of headway at all using the theories that the government has put out there in this disinformation game. And part of that is challenging jurisdiction, and one reason for that is because we don't understand where they get jurisdiction from. One of my driving thoughts in the whole law thing was, how does another man have authority over me? That was the question that drove my research in law, and I figured that question out. And that question is that a long time ago, society has been around for a long, long time, and as society goes along, we figure out ways to better society, or better society that we think should be. And part of that bettering of society was, and the Romans came up with it, was a concept called domicile. And that concept basically states that, hey, I'm a Roman citizen. I've worked hard. I enjoy these benefits of this society that I belong to, and I want to pass those benefits along to my children. Because, through most of man's history, society for the common man has been shit.
And that's what they're going to use against you in that case if you bring that jurisdiction thing.
Right, yeah. Well, domicile, I've got all kinds of writings on domicile and stuff too that you'd be more than welcome to look over. But basically what happens is, now in today's society, this is what happens. You get born, okay, and there's, in the United States, you got birth by soil and then birth by allegiance. So, for example, if somebody from another country comes over here and has a child on the American soil, yes, that child can become an American citizen. However, the thing that ties men to political entities like the United States and Russia and China is what's known as allegiance. And hundreds of years ago, I'm sure everybody's
Article 6 of the Constitution.
Everybody's heard of the social contract. Well, the social contract, partially, hundreds of years ago, was allegiance for protection. So basically, if I gave my allegiance to King George III, King George III would protect me. When there's a herd of raving Turks coming across the land to pillage my town, King George is going to send some knights over here and protect me. And it was called the Allegiance for Protection contract. And so basically, what happens now is whoever a child is born to, let's say it's born to me and my wife, and we could be anywhere in the world whatsoever. And because me and my wife are subjects, and I'm not missaying that, because United States citizens are subjects. They're subjects of their government. Okay. So anywhere in the world that I am, me and my wife owe allegiance to the United States of America. Okay. So I could leave the United States at 19 years old and move to Russia and work there from the time I'm 19 until the time I die. And every year I'm paying taxes to the United States of America, buddy. And that's because I'm still tied to allegiance with the United States. And there's court cases, of course, that back this up. There's one famous one from, I believe, Minnesota from back in the 1800s, where a gentleman came over from Germany. He was a child. He was like 3 months old, 3 years old, something ridiculously young like that. He lived his whole life here in America. He voted in the local elections. He went to school here. He worked here, paid taxes here. But when he went to vote for president, they told him, they said, you couldn't because you're not a citizen of the United States, because you haven't relinquished that allegiance that you have to the sovereign of Germany. Because man can only have one sovereign. You can be a citizen of multiple countries, but you can only have one true sovereign. And the same thing goes for when you die. When you die, and they're trying to break up your estate through probate court, it's always going to revert back to your domicile as the law for what happens to your stuff, whether it gets taxed at 50% because you own an estate in New York, or if it's going to get taxed at 20% because you also own an estate in Iowa. What the courts are going to do is they're going to look and see where that principal residence is. Now, when we fill out government paperwork, there's always two addresses that they give us. There's two boxes for address. One is your mailing address, and one is your legal address. Okay, and that legal address is your domicile. A domicile is a place that you plan to return to, no matter if you're away for an indefinite amount of time and you don't know when you'll be back. I mean, your domicile, like I said, you could leave the United States at 19 years old and work the rest of your life and die in Russia, but your domicile is still America unless you revoke that. Okay, unless you relinquish your citizenship and say, I want to take up citizenship here in Russia. I want to be a citizen of comrade
Disillusioned
Putin or whatever. Yeah. So before we try anything that we find legally like that on the internet, I would caution people to go to a website called Quatloos. It's Quatloos.
So they say Quaaludes?
Quatloos. It was a money that they used in Star Trek, the Quatloos or whatever. But it's a website. It's a message board, and on this message board, you're going to find lawyers and you're going to find CPAs. And all they do all day long is they look at information like this that we're talking about, and they look at the court cases of people that have used this information, and they post them. And you can go down and you can see what these people have used in the court, and you can see what doesn't work. And a lot of that, yeah, and a lot of that stuff. There's another site too called Fogbow, Fogbow. And they also have a message board, and they do the same thing. And they look, they call it a scam. Is it a scam? Some of it is, absolutely. But there is truth in a lot of that stuff. When you break it down to its bare bones, and again, it was that question that was driving me. What gives another man authority to tell another man what he can and can't do? And when you find, that, self-responsibility is what freedom's all about. And a lot of people today aren't willing to to go that route. Okay, they're not willing to be their own lawyer. They're not willing to, grow their own food. They're not willing to produce their own
Usually,
energy.
there's a law library beneath every single courthouse.
That's right. That's right. In every county, usually, yeah.
But they only show you what they want to show you.
Right, and Google Books is free, and
But you still can learn a lot down there if you are that individual that is inclined to self-represent and motivated and have this kind of perspective, because what's best for you is going to be best known by you.
Some of those places have a pro se department where they teach you how to defend yourself.
When I was in jail at in New Jersey, when they locked me up involuntary for 106 days, their law library, all the stuff that I knew about the UCC laws and certain USC codes, there were certain codes that weren't even in there. It was all restricted. I was like, how am I supposed to defend myself properly if there's certain things that are restricted here? Like, let's say, for instance, 28 USC 3002, 15A, the United States is a federal corporation. I already know that one. That was nowhere in the books, nowhere in the computers, nowhere to be found. I couldn't fight because I couldn't challenge any type of jurisdiction in that manner.
That's
Crazy.
interesting.
Well, right, but let me tell you about that one specifically because I know exactly the one you're talking about, and that exact title references debt collected by the federal government. See, we have to be careful because again, what happens is we take a lot of stuff that we get on the internet out of focus. The United States Code, right? The United States Code has up to, that I know of, 75 different definitions of the words United States, and they all mean something different. That's why there's so many of them. Okay, and I've seen where the words United States means something specific for just one paragraph of the law. Okay, now the one you're talking about, that's good for the whole chapter. Okay, that definition of the United States is good for the whole chapter. But in some places, the definition that they use for United States is only good for that one paragraph in that specific
in that
law
context.
Exactly, and that's
how is that even legal? How is that even legal? How can they change the definition based on the context? Like, how can it just be interpreted for what's best for the interest of that context instead of kind of solidified in a permanent context that doesn't relate to the need of the situation?
Well, it is in a permanent context to them, to lawyers. You know what I mean? Like, they understand legalese and what's known as words of art or terms of art, and we all use them. Any profession has common words that they use to mean certain things that people not in those professions would have no clue what they were talking about. Like in the service industry, when we're out of something, we're 86. We're 86 this,
Yeah, right on.
And not a lot of people would realize what I was saying. They're like, 86? Who's 86?
Yeah, what's the catch-22 here?
Right. So, and I'm sure doctors and teachers and other people like that have terms that they also use. The lawyers, they just have a lot more of those, and that's why they've got their own dictionary, Black's Dictionary, or a legal dictionary, when they're defining what you would consider to be English words that you could find in Webster's dictionary, and right, like the word a person, Again, they make it so intricate that even
these definitions
lawyers
change often, don't they? I mean, they're open-ended to a degree.
Absolutely. If you look at Black's Law Dictionary 1st edition and compare it to Black's Law Dictionary 7th edition, you'll notice like the word person has changed. Okay, and let me give you another example that's more real here for the fellas here in Florida. Back in 1931. The definition of the word motor vehicle in Florida meant a commercial vehicle. Okay, it didn't mean automobile that you would drive around for,
right, like
go under the park or something like that.
Wheeler.
Right.
Yeah, doesn't that still stand today? Isn't there still a Supreme Court ruling about private transportation and private travel versus commercial use and things of that nature? Like, isn't it almost argued, or Isn't it a popular argument among sovereign citizens, if you will?
It is. And again, there's always some truth
Beto.
in that. Yeah, no, there's always some truth in that. And again, they get us.
Yeah, I think so too.
They get us with the definitions, and you know what really needs to be talked about is how do we learn, okay? Because that is where we have been led astray. And I tell people that you know, you could research anything you want, but if you don't understand the process of information, you know, coming off the page into your senses through your brain and then out your mouth as a coherent argument,
Got to calibrate and comprehend.
Right. Then you're not researching. What you're doing is called confirmation bias, and you're looking for information that backs up what you already believe. Okay,
like a conspiracy theorist, they tend to do that a lot.
Conspiracy theorist, racist, anybody. I mean, everybody has confirmation bias.
It's part of the human condition. I mean, people are vulnerable to that behavior.
That's right.
They'll see what they are looking for and not what's actually there.
And if they don't tell us about us, because they never told me about confirmation bias in school, they never said, hey, you can't really research something if you already have a preconceived notion about that something. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So what happens is again, the government gets us when we're young, and what they do is they form what's called core beliefs. And off those core beliefs, we build other beliefs. And when our core belief is bad, as you can imagine, then every belief that springs from that core belief is also bad. All right. So, for example, Americans were free. Okay. Off that one core belief, you get many other core beliefs. The government loves me. The government wants to take care of me. Okay. The government would never.
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Right. So these are the core beliefs, and these are the beliefs that stem off from them. Now, and this is something that the government's known for a long time as well. When a person holds a belief, okay, those that challenge that belief automatically get shut down, okay, because that's how the mind works, okay, and that's what I'm saying. We have to understand how information comes to us, because if we don't, we get shut off from information. And one part of that, again, is that belief system. When someone comes at you and challenges your belief, the brain interprets that the same way it would if someone hit you with a right hook.
Right.
You know?
It's an immediate contention, and it creates reflexive response.
That's right. And that's why they've come up with trigger words like conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
okay?
The cop tried to figure me.
If you're having a debate with somebody and the words, you know, conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory comes up, automatically watch next time. Just go anywhere and just, you know, come up with some crazy conspiracy thing, you know, whatever. Something you don't even have to believe it.
The posture becomes automatically defensive.
I have a conspiracy theory. Is that a fat DAC in your hand?
You start feeling condescended. No, this is just a cigarette. No, I would never. Yeah, no.
They look like the
that would be very
joint
inappropriate,
in the world.
unprofessional for your channel. I would never dare.
So we have to understand how this information comes to us, and then we can see through a lot of the nonsense that's out there, because truth really presents itself, and humans by nature are very curious creatures. And you know, when the human soul, but the human existence strives for certain things. It yearns for certain things, and one of those things is to be free, just like most animals in the wild. You're
instinctively feel we're supposed to be free and independent, man. We're supposed to be free and independent.
Go sailing.
But we can be tricked into thinking that we're free, and
servitude.
And then we could stop, you know, looking for
relax.
That freedom.
It rids us of certain stresses and anxieties, these false senses of security and the engines of illusion, if you will, that we're provided. People latch onto it all the time, and I'm I love your analysis. I think you should write a book, to be honest, but I digress. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine, sir. You're fine, sir. But yeah, this is something that's on the internet and on our minds all the time. I mean, we're all looking for a little more freedom in our lives, and you know, one of those ways is learning the law. But you know, again, and here's something too that we can all take to heart. If there's an exemption in whatever law you want to call it, common law or state natural law or whatever office, if there's an exemption in that law, then you will also find an exemption in the state statutes and the state codes. Okay, there is an exemption in IRS for people to not pay taxes. It's in there. I've seen it.
Right. Every once in a while, someone stands up and tries not to do it, and then they end up getting incarcerated or something, like Wesley Snipes or somebody.
Sniped.
You know,
Again,
yeah, he gets sniped. Yeah, Wesley Snipes gets sniped.
Again, that's because they're
alone in the cause. I think if we were just united.
Well, they are united with a bunch of other people, but the fact is they're all dealing with half truths as beliefs, so they're butting up against that wall. You know what I mean? And
they were led down a dead end road.
Right, absolutely. And so, you know, and I've always thought, you know, they have the birth certificate
authentication.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Yes, they have that thing going around the internet, and I'm thinking to myself, what a great scam the government's got going on. Okay, because here the government has people who are actually trying to think for themselves and think out of the box. And here the government has them sending them documents so they can now add them to the list of subversives they need to watch.
Ain't that something?
You know what I mean? Because listen, here's a real common sense way to look at it. Americans leave America every day. They leave the United States and they leave their citizenship behind. They become expats in other countries. Okay? So whatever they do in order to release that authority of the United States, we should not have to do anything else but that, even here, if we were staying in the United States. Does an
Shout out to Gavin Syme.
Right. Does an expat have to have his birth certificate, authorized? No, he doesn't have to do that. Does he have to file Form 55A with the Minnesota Health Department on the second Thursday of next week because Linda's going to be there? No, they don't have to do that. You know what I mean? Basically, an expat has to do is he has to go off the land of the United States and just declare that he relinquishes his citizenship. That
Tina Turner did to Switzerland.
Yeah.
So, the status of a person who is free of the obligations of society is the status called stateless or statelessness. Okay, and those will remember that saw the Tom Hanks movie Terminal, about a gentleman who was stuck in an airport terminal. Okay, because
he had
no.
You know right where you're going now.
Yeah, he had no home to fly to. There was no country that he was a citizen of, and also the I think it was France he was at would not accept him into their country.
Now, can we tie this all the way back to the Federal Reserve Act of 1913? Is this part of the reason why we're kind of property of the state?
Well, we're property of the state because, again, we're subjects of the state. And the way the state looks at us and society is that the family unit is...
If you're here, you're in it.
Yeah. When you're here, your family.
Right. Your child is considered a child of the community, and we're all community oriented.
we're
So,
all
like, the
here.
moment your child steps on the public school bus, for example, that child is considered public property, and you, as a parent, can actually be arrested trying to pick up your child from school. Say it's a surprise. You got out of work early. You got a bonus. You got the next 2 weeks off. Miss Riley, you're doing fantastic. Thank you so much for your efforts. You know, we're going to give you this, and here you go. Have a great time. You just show up at your child's house, at your child's school, to pick he or she up. Surprise for some Slurpees and whatever's clever, and you could be arrested during that time because you didn't send a letter prior, and now you're engaging
we
in a what's
covered
considered
that
a belligerent sort of activity. You're like,
a few weeks ago. It's when you get your kid from the hospital, it's them saying, "Okay, we are putting your child into your custody, and we can take him back because of the all caps name
Sure,
on the birth
insurance
certificate
liability
that we just typed out." All that stuff happens, and you have to fight it in court.
Well,
and that it's right.
It's called the obligation of contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not the birth certificate. You know, a lot of people get that wrong and say, "Oh, it's the birth certificate that makes you."
Right. There is some black law stuff that says
tie that in. Right.
You're written in all caps or you're written in all lowercase, treated as an individual or as a corporation.
Yeah, no. See, the courts have already dismissed that. You could sign your name any way you want to. We can do one letter cap, one letter small, one letter cap. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's that domicile. You know, for
domicile.
Yeah, for hundreds of years before, there were no birth certificates, there were no driver's license, there were no social security cards. That's not the contract. The contract at its very basic, and when you enter into a society, is allegiance for protection. The only reason society came about was for protection, okay? Because one caveman kept stealing from another caveman.
That's right.
That's where society came from. So now you got a couple of cavemen, and they're going to bond together, and they're going to bond together for protection.
Everything.
That's right.
Reset. That's right.
That's right.
The
Mayflower Compact signed on the Mayflower before they actually landed.
This is why you're Captain Awesome.
Yeah, man. It says it right in the Mayflower Compact that this is a social compact, and this is what we got to adhere to. Matter of fact, the first Massachusetts Constitution declares that it's a social contract that they're under as well. And a lot of people don't understand the social contract. They're like, "Oh, I never signed anything. I never agreed to anything," and that's where they're wrong. And a little understanding could come to light.
That's right.
The domicile thing I was talking about, and how we're born to, whoever our parents are in allegiance to. Okay, we have a chance. This is where they get the by consent from. Okay. Because at the age of majority, which is a legal term, but basically means you've come of age in order to make contracts and such. In most states, it's between 18 and 19 years old is the age of majority in the United States. At the age of majority,
but you're still considered a child under healthcare rules until
under some of those. But those rules are made for subjects and not a man. If you
for certain,
become a man. Which again, I'm not a man, I'm a citizen, and a citizen isn't a man, he's a person. But yeah, and when you come of age, you have a choice to make. And in law, it's called domicile of choice. And we all get to make that choice. Okay. They just never tell us about it or tell us how to affect it. Okay. So what happens is because we don't know about this choice, we make the only choice that's known to us, and that is to keep residing and keep living in the society that we've always known. And what they do is they take our actions, okay, as acceptance of us agreeing to be, citizens, of us agreeing to be subjects to the United States. And it could be any action. It could be a gym membership. Again, once you start realizing what the truth is, it smacks you in the face at every instance. Okay. Now here's one that I'll tell you that once you hear me say it and you watch TV or the commercials on TV, it's going to smack you in the face. residency restrictions required. Residency restrictions required.
Enlighten me, please.
Okay. Residency restrictions required means that you are a resident, okay? And by having residency and agreeing that you are a resident, you again are reinforcing the fact that you are a part of the society. Again, real clean, what happens in at birth is there's a race. Okay, there's a race between you and there's a race between the state. And the race is to see who can gather more evidence. The state is gathering evidence that you, my friend, are part of the society here and that you enjoy all the benefits of the society here. And you're in a race to not worry about most of that for most of your life because you're being misdirected with, you know, Xbox and G-strings and all this other stuff. All right. And then so when you finally get there,
Fun stuff.
Yeah, when you finally get to the point in our lives when we're like us
Misdirection.
and we're like, hey, you know, we don't consent to any of this and we don't agree with your jurisdiction and we don't agree with your authority. They're like, what are you talking about, dude? I've got evidence upon evidence upon evidence. You went to public school, you signed up for the boys club, you availed yourself of every public thing. You went to the public park, you used the post office. I mean, there is just so many, right? There's just so many actions that we take, you know, signing up for Social Security, signing up for the driver's license.
Well, see, you have to do Social Security the moment your child is born. They try to facilitate all that stuff right there in the hospital. You know, right after they're like, "Do you feel safe? Is he making you say that?" You know, they bring up Social Security and have you fill out all the forms so that you can have the Social Security card mailed to your child right away. And having 5 children myself, there was a time under the Bush 43 administration where Social Security, there was talks of it being privatized and things of that nature to kind of try to make it secure.
Right.
And I was all about that. You know, I wasn't so much about that presidency, you know, but I was about the privatization of that aspect of my children's lives. And the hospitals were the moment that conversation ensued, everything became immediately condescending. And I was, you know, treated as a contentious individual rather than a father who had just utilized the services of a wonderful hospital and gave birth to a beautiful child and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, again, they definitely try to force upon us all this stuff. Now, a Social Security card is not needed to live or work in the United States. And there's actually laws that back that up. If you look in the
Well, I wish I had known you years ago, man. That would have been awesome to know, because now they're in the system. I do got hope for my last child yet, though. William Thomas Fitzgerald Riley. They can't fit the name on the goddamn card, and it was spelled incorrectly. Yeah, William Thomas - Fitzgerald.
Well, you know,
I see that guy behind you there.
The good news is that the contracts that are entered into us, you know, on our children's behalf, become null and void once they reach that age of majority. So, in effect, if they wanted to stop with that contract, I would simply inform them to just rip up that card, throw it away, and if anybody ever asks, just tell them I don't use Social Security number and I don't have a number. You know, once you're assigned a number, that number never goes away. You know, there's some people that saying that you could return your Social Security card and you'll be out of the system. That number never goes away. It's always connected to you.
Coming full circle into the context of where we were going and where we started with our friend here having the troubles, wouldn't taking this route and being so, we'll say, contentious with the system, the status quo, wouldn't that kind of adversely affect our lives in the same manner of which we're kind of suggesting that this case is being adversely affected against this man personally because of his kind of sovereign citizen-esque approach?
Well, what's going to happen is New Jersey's not going to listen to any of that kind of jurisdictional stuff like that. You need to hit them with the statutes.
Hit them with the statutes. I like that.
Yeah, the statutes, the laws really work pretty good in our favor if we know where they are and how to use them. But the law's so vast that it takes a long time. It really does. In New Jersey and New York, Connecticut, Florida, it doesn't matter. I mean, each state has the 50 titles, just like the United States Code's got the 50 titles. Right.
These people are out of fucking control.
Yeah, and they just keep adding more and more onto it. But there's got to be something in there, and again, I would have to look for the people at the statutes in Jersey, and the statutes. I wouldn't say Connecticut.
I'll help you. We got to help this man. He served our country, and he's essentially been betrayed by the goddamn country.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's kind of like what we're doing here. We gotta explain.
I knew this would be the perfect avenue.
I heard your story, and I pretty much said, "Hey, Captain, let him know what's going on."
Here's a 3-year-old child, man. 13 years is a long time.
Yeah, dude,
we all hear you, man. And 13 years. That's
listen. I've known people that have gotten less time for murder.
Yeah. Ain't that something? 3 strikes law. Oh, and he's out on good behavior. It's fine. Yeah. And then he murders somebody else. That fucking.
So this is just disgusting that they would even put forth a sentence like that.
And his honorable service is being used against him in this sort of light. They're considering him a threat because of his training, because of his history, because of his military service. They're treating him as like they're justified in this light against him.
And basically all we have, if I'm not mistaken, for the people is just an accident, a mishap, right? You were driving through the state. You wasn't there scoring 20 keys, or you wasn't there to shoot up Paco or anything like that. You were just, casually going through the state, maybe on vacation, maybe to somewhere else. But
he had been pulled over in additional states. Real quick, I mean, isn't it true you were pulled over in a number of other states, and the circumstances were very much the same? But you did not have the problem in those states that you're contending with out of New Jersey. Is that correct?
And that was New York. New York, I got pulled over, and I did the same thing, but I gave crap to the police officer. I didn't give crap, but I was just talking back and, asking him questions. Why are you doing this, and that? Challenging his authority right there and then. He didn't like that, but I was doing it in a fun way. He saw me smiling. I was being non-belligerent, non-combative, and it got to the point where he took me out of the car and he handcuffed me, and I was like, "Why are you even handcuffing me? What's the purpose that you're handcuffing me for? What's the reason?" And he said one thing, and I was like, "Well, is that a crime or is that a misdemeanor?" And I looked at him, then I looked at the other cop, and they both said, one of them said crime, the other one said misdemeanor. I was like, "You see, you guys don't even know what you're arresting me for. So I would double check to see what you guys are arresting me for right now, because you're actually both, I was like, one of you are wrong. This is a huge misdemeanor, And I was like, I'm not even supposed to be arrested right now. And they stood quiet, brought me to the car anyway, and just started checking all my stuff. And I was like, look, I don't consent to any searches. But their searches was, to count all the, when they search your vehicle to make sure that everything's in place. They count how much money you have.
I want to say like a wellness check, but it's not that. It's like an equipment check or something, right? To make sure everything's working properly or whatever.
Yeah. So it was another way of not searching my vehicle. Yeah.
Right.
So they were searching my vehicle anyway. Yeah. So I got them on that anyway, and that same day they sent me to the judge because obviously it was a little town that I got pulled over. So they actually sent me to the judge about an hour and a half later after going to the precinct. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. This never happened to me before. This is my first time ever second time going to jail, but first time ever getting pulled over and going straight to a judge after. So right there and then, that's when I actually challenged the judge. I actually was being loud. I was like, these guys.
I admire that, by the way.
I was like, these guys have pulled me over for this, and that, but you're saying this, and that. And I was like, I don't see the correlation. And I actually challenged his jurisdiction right there and then. I was like, what authority do you have over me? You know, he didn't like that.
That's
He didn't have
inspiring.
anything to say. He was just like, well, I have the authority of the state of New York. I was like, yeah, but who is that? Who? Tell me. If you can tell me who, then, you know, I would be willing to contract with that man. He didn't have anything to say either. And then got to the point where
UCC.
well, I showed him my UCC paperwork as well, and I did show him my birth certificate, the authenticated birth certificate, and of course he was like, I don't, this is not real. I was like,
It wasn't
you don't see the
recognized.
state seal, you don't see the state seal right there from New York? I mean, really? Yeah. And then the Washington D.C., of course. So the UCC file was from New York. The regular authentication, what do you call it, the apostille, not the apostille, but the certification was from Connecticut, and then the regular certification was from Washington, D.C. And right on the paperwork of Washington, D.C., that certificate file, all the way at the bottom, UCC, it has UCC codes, which state that once you take control of your birth certificate, you are equal to or more than your birth certificate. So what does that tell you? Now you are in charge of your birth certificate. You're not in control of you anymore.
You're
So
just
that's
in
what I
charge
told.
of the document.
You're in charge of it, yeah. So
Right.
you have full rights, full authority over your birth certificate, everything that happens, you know. So now they don't see you as basically a baby or an infant in court. So now
Right.
you're your own man in court, and you can represent yourself. So basically, that's what I told them, you know. And
But the problem is aren't these everything that's filed, everything that you got going for you in your defense, if you will, isn't it kind of just ignored?
in New York, no, they actually dismissed the case with all that paperwork I sent them. They dismissed it.
But in New Jersey,
In New Jersey, no,
these-
they actually prolonged every hearing to find out what else I knew, what more I can say. They were trying to, like, you know, figure out who I
probably
was.
learning from you.
Exactly. And a lot of paperwork that I did send a lot of their statutes in CF form. CF form being compared to, because I didn't ever want to enter their jurisdiction. So I always entered all my paperwork as a man, regular man, under the Constitution of the Republic. That's it, because all republic, you know, the Union states are in contract with the United States.
And how did
So-
you do that exactly? Do we have time here, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple more minutes.
Well, when you represent yourself, you have to actually, you don't do your full appearance in court. You don't do their paperwork. You're actually doing your own paperwork, and you almost do the same format, but at the top left, you're always putting your name, and you always put after that, man, man, and you can put for the people or of my state, not the state, of my state of mind, my state of being. That's basically what my state means. So in that aspect, you're born in the Republic, but on the land of God, God's land, the Republic. So now you're under God. So now you're all man is born or made in the image of God, right? So basically it goes back to the Bible now. So when you're putting your paperwork in that manner, they see how much you actually do know and how much you actually do represent only yourself. Well, not represent, but present only yourself as a man at court. So you got to be careful with what you do, because once you enter their jurisdiction and you do the paperwork without any of that stuff, you're entering right into their jurisdiction and they have you.
So overall, this has been effective, but in certain situations throughout your specific case. But overall, would you say this is an effective way, or what is it that you're lacking, or what is it that's not being? I mean, basically, I'm asking if we were to take away a course of action for you at the end of this evening, and at the end of time between these great minds of ours. What is it that you think that you need help with, or how could you best be helped? What is it that you're missing?
I've been learning all this stuff as I've been going along, and all the paperwork that I was doing in the beginning with the UCC laws and stuff like that, I've actually gotten away from a lot of that. So the way that I've been doing it now is doing it as in a commercial remedy, but not within the UCCs as an equity, but within common law. But common law, you still have those equities behind you no matter what. So common law and equity are hand in hand together when you're doing the paperwork. So the way I've been doing it is basically sending in my paperwork the same way, but now doing it an administrative process. The administrative process basically does things behind the court, not within the court. So you're doing things personally now with just the lawyer or the prosecutor or the judge, and you're trying to get these things dismissed without going to court. But of course, you're still going to court for the show. You know, they're trying to send you to court to show off or whatever, because the court's a stage. And so the administrative process holds a little bit more to that, because now you're actually putting on all my paperwork, I don't put the prosecutor's name, and I don't put him as title, as prosecutor. I don't put the judges as a judge. The paperwork holds more power. So I started learning about the paperwork with contract laws and paperwork and how you actually supposed to file them and how you take away their titles, and now you're making them all as man. And whatever they do now under their oath, now they can be liable for whatever they lie about. So that's what I started doing now.
What do you think about that? What's your analogy on that, or analysis on that, Rogue, if I may?
What's that?
What sort of knowledge can you bring on that particular? What's your analysis of that? I mean, are you versed on that sort of?
Yeah, I'm well versed on all that common law, equity. You know, what was some of the other stuff you were saying in there for the people? You were saying the.
He was saying about the power of paperwork and how
the administrative process.
The administrative process, and
yeah,
I'm familiar, with all that stuff.
Yeah, right. Having more bearing.
But again, you know, and there's always success stories that I've heard online. LB Bork is one that loves to claim fame and the freedom movement and of being able to, you know, dismiss cases without going to court and stuff like that. Right. And here's the bottom line. If this stuff worked, if the stuff that they had on the internet worked about, you know, being outside, well, not only everybody would do it. I mean, somebody would be selling this shit and making a lot of money. Now, there are some gurus out there that'll try to get you for $100 here, $500 there. But let me tell you, if I could go to a man and tell him, "Hey, dude, I can get you out of paying taxes the rest of your life," dude, I'm naming my price. You know what I mean? If I could say, "Dude, you can live in the house where you live at right now. You don't have to obey any laws except the ones that are natural, like thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, where there's an actual victim, and you don't have to pay any more taxes the rest of your life." Dude, I could literally name my price. I could charge people $50,000 or $100,000, dude, for something like that. You know what I mean? There's nobody out there charging that, because there's nobody out there that has that system that works every single time.
Right.
And again, listen, I've been looking at it for almost 10 years, and I can tell you this: every single guy out there will tell you it's just because they didn't do enough research, or they didn't use my program correctly. And you have to file your birth certificate before you get this form done. And listen, there's always an excuse. Just like if you ever come across a person that says that they have the right to travel, just ask them for a video of a cop letting them go, of a judge saying, you know, stuff like, "Oh, you're a state national," or "Oh, you're a man. Well, you're free to go." You're not going to find that. You're not going to find that case. You're not going to see that video, because
maybe in a parody.
Right. It doesn't happen. And again, there's lots of reasons why, but the main reason is because the government is very adept at fooling people. And you know, it sounds good. It plays on our emotions. It's something that we all want. Again, it's something that the human spirit actually, you know, I want to say strives for. I cannot think of anything more important in the scheme of things than to be free, because without freedom, there is nothing. If the state has the power to come and take anything and everything it wants from you at
And
any
they
time
define
it
your
wants,
existence, essentially.
right? I mean, what else is
We don't
left?
have a need for you right now, so Planned Parenthood it is.
Right. So there's nothing else left. So the government realizes that, and the government also realizes that sooner or later, people are going to realize that they're not free, and they're going to start looking
I
for
think that's
ways to
where we're at
become
right
free.
now, man. I think there's more people that are who have not been politically active, even during the Obama tenure. I think there are a great many Americans who, even during that tenure, despite voting for Obama and despite all of the, we'll say, turmoil or whatever's clever, they just weren't engaged with their fellow Americans or engaged on the level, say, as you and I and Poor Dirt Farmer and a great many of other Americans who are really seeking to try to affect change are. You know, we're engaged on a different level. I think a segment of America has been more engaged, and they're looking for a way
Of
to try to
lately,
explain things.
of lately. Listen,
Listen,
I haven't said anything for like an hour.
Yeah,
So
let's hear it.
let me just say like one thing, and you're absolutely right. Of lately, there's been a push.
Right.
You know, people asking questions and
It's
people
important we help guide them.
rubbing up against the sides of the norm. And the sad reality, and this the reason I haven't said anything for an hour is just listening to your minds has been wonderful. But the sad reality is like all other animals on planet Earth, humans take the path of least resistance. And in addition to that, humans are creatures of habit. And the government is set up in a way that it has a track for us to follow so that we don't have to have any resistance. And
Right.
your average human is going to take that path without
Right. We're lazy. We're lazy creatures of habit.
Exactly. So, and the government knows that. And, you know, and every once in a while somebody pops up and plays the sovereign card and plays the, well, no, that's not true. I'm engaged
That would
in
be us.
free travel. You know, I'm engaged in I'm in my personal conveyance vehicle, and the government hates that because it's not on the track they've set for the humans to follow of least resistance, and it's difficult to get courts and judges and even cops and even other citizens to, you know, to look at and understand that plight of that sovereign, you know, person that doesn't want to follow
They
that.
become easily frustrated in that process. Yes. And because it's not a part of the norm and it's not something that they're acclimated with,
yeah, we're shutting it down right now. We're shutting it down right now. I said my piece after an hour. We all got to shut down. We're actually an hour past our normal time. So
it was a great discussion.
I thank you all very much.
I got a lot of stuff for you, buddy. I got your email. We'll start talking. All right, man.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
For the people, yeah, man, you're hooked up with the right folks here. I'm glad that you all took the time out of your lives to be here for this individual, and I'm sure that this can all transpire into something.
I mean, it was a great piece of news for our viewers to listen to, and many of the people who watch our channel, I'm sure, have had similar incidences, be it with a cop individually or a court or a judge or whatever. You seem to have gotten the perfect storm of shitstorm, really, where you kind of it all onto you at once. And
I feel like I've actually like held them off with all the stuff that I've been giving them.
You've done remarkably well. You've got a lot of success.
Since 2018,
especially
December.
the manner of which you've defended yourself.
December 2018, this has been going on. And since then, I've been like almost defending myself.
So we at Bolt Action News Group want to continue to hear how it progresses from here for the people. So make sure you're emailing either Rogue Nation or any one of us. You can go on our Facebook or on our website and find our emails and keep us informed. And also we're live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So pop in once in a while. Let us know where we're at. We're all now that you've been on here. We're all interested in hearing how the story plays out.
And there's still a lot more to say too, because I didn't even finish the whole story. Like all the lies and corruption that's been going on within the court.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Rogue Nation went into a trance. Rogue Nation went into his trance and just went.
That's all right. That's all right. There's time yet.
Once he's on that, nobody can stop him because it's so interesting to listen to. So.
And he's right about a lot of that stuff.
Rice Krispie's gonna come in.
It is all relative, though. It all comes full circle. It plays in to this man's case for sure.
I was like Mr. Magoo for a second.
Mr. Magoo.
You guys old enough to remember?
We were just given the outro, right? You came in on the outro.
Oh, cool. Well, not cool. I missed it.
Yeah, right. So, what is your analysis this evening, if we may? If we could get your time a little longer this evening, I mean, we'd love to hear.
I think you guys brought that story to us for help, and I think we tried our best legally to not give legal advice because we're not lawyers.
Of course, right. But we can relate.
We can kind of steer you in the right direction as to what is tried and true methods, and
just well informed, right?
And we'll never ever blow smoke up anybody's ass when it's 13 years on the line, man. I mean,
well, that was a trickery. That was a trickery when they said 13 years, and they said it right when they actually incarcerated me.
To help make the plea bargain look a little more enticing, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, not even when it's a day on the line, because even one of our own members got offered 30 days after he already had 2 days of his life taken away from him for not coming to a complete stop at a stop sign on his
Whatever
bicycle.
It takes for capitulation.
You know what the main reason why they put it 13 years? They had me in court about 6 more times within a week and a half. 6 more times within a week and a half to try to get me to go pro se. That's when they gave me 13 years. They were like, "Oh, we can't have you pro se."
Pressure mechanism.
Exactly. Yeah. So I still never gave.
We need our public pretenders to pretend, because there's a big old revenue generating system, and they got to keep the wheels greased.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I do appreciate the opportunity to get this young man on. He's facing a very grave situation, and it would take some very good minds to help the individual out. And I'm glad you guys gave us an opportunity to do that. So thank you very much.
And it looks like Indie News on the Street. I almost said it again. Looks like Indie News on the Street has some advice too. So you should connect with him. He's ex-law enforcement, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's been on our channel a bunch of times. He's a very articulate man, so connect with him too.
Yeah, that's good advice there. Thank you very much. Court Dirt Farmer.
July 16th is my next court date on Zoom. So.
Yeah, it kind of boggles the mind that these folks would have a court hearing or a court engagement over Zoom, given all of the security exploits and the vulnerabilities of any individual really using Zoom under such pretense.
We had to listen to a phone call between Eyes on the State and the child support place, telling him how he had to connect to Zoom, and he was like, "Fuck no, I can't get on Zoom. Right. Fuck you, no."
Right.
He's a tech guy.
Security vulnerabilities and the exploits. I mean, there's millions of people with their login information in their.
We shouldn't be obligated to do that. Right. That's what we pay research for. You better ship me a fucking iPad in the mail.
That's right.
Hey, what's that behind you, man? Can you tell us about your wall, Tyrant Slayer?
Oh yeah, I've been revamping things. I kind of prepared a little bit for this evening. I've been meaning to set a bunch of stuff up. I'm an antique collector. I love history and things of that nature. On the wall
Have you
back
ever
there, I
read the
got a
Stephen King novel 11/22/63?
no. Believe it or
Oh
not, I
man!
haven't, but I am a Stephen
And
King fan, so that kind of confuses me a little
it
bit.
was
Like,
one of the first books he read, and so is Rogue Nation. He's a big Stephen King fan. We both were back in when we were kids,
oh,
and then
I
we
read
stopped reading
Tommy
it.
Knockers, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
and then we
huge
stopped at a
into
certain point when like he got hit by the car, and then he
Yeah,
flew up
he
in the
totally
air and wrote.
changed.
He wrote 10 books on the way down. Right? That's what
That's a
happened.
great way to put it. You know what? I never heard
That's the Family
anybody
Guy
summarize it like
showed
that.
a funny
Yeah, I missed that.
vision of that.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways,
Yeah, good times.
but at the beginning of his career, when he was still an English teacher, he wrote 11/22/63's beginning and premise, and then was like, "No, I don't want to fuck with this until I have more knowledge on this subject." And then he came out with it in like 2012, I think, something like that, and it was amazing because and James Franco took it and brought it to Hulu in a miniseries.
Oh, I had no
So
idea about any of this.
I love time travel, and I love the whole JFK assassination
Yeah, man, I'm big
conspiracies.
into it.
And it was a combination of the two. It's a guy who went back in time to stop the JFK assassination
That sounds
by
perfect
Stephen
for me.
King.
That's perfect.
Right? It
Yeah,
was
man.
perfect for me too. Go look that up, man. 11.
Yeah, I certainly will. I certainly will.
That's the book of the week recommendation from Bang.
My wall is just a collection of things I've acquired over the experiences in my life doing work and meeting people and traveling and things of that nature. I just throw it all up there. This is my little comfort area that I like to use where, I'm putting myself out there. I'll be on a live stream like we are here now.
Right on.
Yeah, it's just my little area. I got a lot of myself back here. It's an artistic expression of myself, if you will. There's just a lot of antiques. I built that solid cherry shelf back there. That's solid cherry.
Nice.
I got a nice K98 German World War II rifle back there. I got some weaponry. I got an old meat grinder.
Does it have the can you show us the stock at least just to see the compass on there?
Hang on a second. I
want to see that compass on the
I saw you show that shotgun that night, so I thought you might be interested.
What, my freedom stick?
Yeah, your freedom stick. It was the flashlight that was highlighted, by the way, but
right.
I saw the gun behind.
Her name's Sharon Jane.
Atta girl. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
All right. So yeah, what do you think about our takeaway for the people? Was it helpful?
I mean, I already heard. Basically, I heard the same stuff that I've already heard before, or I've already taught myself.
Yeah.
So, I am going to need more help or more info from other people. Just to see.
Yeah, definitely lawyers, man. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I couldn't help you more than
lawyers don't like what I know. They really don't fight it. They don't know it. They're not taught it in school, so they don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
Okay. That's pretty sweet, Tyrant Slayer Studios.
Oh, that is sweet. Hey, for the people.
Well maintained, I see.
Well, I was listening to your narrative. It sounds like there is at least a possibility, not a good possibility, but at least a possibility of going for suppressing the evidence based upon a lot. They were forcing you to get out. They didn't really have probable cause to believe that you actually had a weapon in the car. There's some issues there, and I think you would need a decent attorney. That's the hard part, is finding a decent attorney.
I had one of the best attorneys in New Jersey for Second Amendment advocates. Yeah, and right now he's to the point where he's put a motion through to dismiss himself from my case.
Well, he probably doesn't like the approach that you're taking. For lack of a better term, I know it's not the right terminology, but the sovereign citizen type approach.
I left that all out the window when he took control. The only thing I actually recommended from him to do was to fight for the Second Amendment, which he didn't put in any of his paperwork. Even when I told him,
it's a losing battle in the lower courts, at least in New Jersey, and he's looking to win, not make a name. And to be honest, I'm just being straight up with you here. Your only hope is to get the evidence suppressed. That's really your only hope. If you can get the evidence suppressed, then they've got no case. If you can't, in New Jersey, you're toast. I mean, that's just that's the sad truth. It's like the beginning of Rogue Nation's audits. His intro: power does what it wants.
Power does what it wants.
And that's so true. It's wrong.
It is true.
And you can be morally right. You can be legally right. You can be right in every imaginable way. But at the end of the day, if you don't come at it in a way that they understand, you're going to be the guy in jail.
Bingo. You got to play in their field. That's what he was talking about, the social contract that we have by being here. It's just tough because you're right. You are right. And the actual law is like that, but the way that our system works, I don't want to pee in your cornflakes. It's not going to work.
You can't play their. You can't change the game on them because they hold the power.
Of course, and I've been actually changing my strategy to go more with I guess their constitutional oaths. I'm not sure. Would you think that'll work with their constitutional oaths?
I think you really need to attack the evidence.
Yeah. Okay. And how about the statutes of limitation with
they filed
quick and speedy trial within 70 days, which I've never gotten.
You didn't waive that right?
No, I have never waived that right.
And when was this filed?
I'm actually about the
misdemeanor or a felony?
It's this is a felony.
Right? Yeah, this is a felony. 13 years, of course. So with a felony in your state. And I can't give legal advice.
I'm actually about to motion to dismiss the case based on the statute of limitations. It's been over 70 days, and I've always asked for a quick, speedy trial, and they've still never given it to me.
Well, it wouldn't be an issue of statute of limitations. It would because they probably have quite some time to file the charges. The speedy trial is a whole different thing. It's not statute of limitations. Statute of limitations.
That's a constitutional right.
Is how long they have.
Yeah, what is the right to a speedy trial? Like, what is that?
It's from the indictment. As soon as your indictment, they have 70 days for speedy trial.
Right. And that's not statute of limitations.
Depending on whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, it's a certain amount of time before they can actually file charges against you and bring them to court. Right. And have a hearing and have you say whether you're guilty or not, have the arraignment and all that. You know, and
well, I'll tell you what,
if they don't bring that in a certain amount of time, it's like, yeah, I can take 10 years to build up a case against whoever I want on murder if I could like get all my resources to plan a framing. You know what I mean?
With very rare exception, it's about every felony, the statute of limitations as far as how long they have from when the crime was first known to them to when they can file the charges, which they've already filed the charges, so that's not an issue anyway, it's usually at minimum a couple of years. But what you're talking about is not statute of limitations. What you're talking about is the right to a speedy trial, which in some jurisdictions is codified as a certain number of days. In other jurisdictions, it's more. I don't know New Jersey's laws well enough, so that 70 days may be actually codified in New
maybe
Jersey
you got
law.
something there.
And so that there may be something there, but I would fight it getting the evidence suppressed based upon an unlawful search without probable cause. I would approach it that way.
On the Department of Justice website, I saw that the 18 USC codes talks about the speedy trial, and once you're indicted, they can have 70 days for
that's under federal
speedy trial.
That's federal law. That's different for states.
Federal law. Okay.
That's that there
and
the states the states can have a different time frame.
That's true. Okay.
And states can have a different law.
Right.
Even though they're not supposed to, so then it's up to you to challenge.
Actually, under 10th Amendment, they should have different laws.
Right.
Well, right.
Not
the
to
states have the right.
contradict the ones that are federal.
Right, it has to be pursuant to constitutional law.
That's
Right.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
So if it violates your constitutional rights,
And you know, there's nowhere in the Constitution does it even give the
And you know they're
federal-
going to
the
make him
federal
follow
government-
that trail. You know they're not going to make it easy for him. They've already established he's one of these guys, if you will.
Yeah.
So they're going to.
Now,
See,
bigger
there-
question: can I invoke the Bill of Rights when it comes to court? The Bill of Rights with New Jersey
can.
Bill of Rights.
Yes,
That's right.
and you need to look at the New Jersey Constitution as well, because you probably have stronger protections under the New Jersey Constitution than you do under the U.S. Constitution.
Well, I found something pretty interesting with the Bill of Rights when it comes to New Jersey back in 1789. They actually ratified 9 out of 12 Bill of Rights, and one of them being at that time their fourth Bill of Rights, which is our second right today of the Constitution, believe it or not. So I was like, I think that could stand in court as well.
Well,
What do you
interesting.
think?
Yeah, you really need to look at, like, I'm in Indiana, and I'm more familiar with the Indiana state constitution than I am the New Jersey state constitution, obviously.
And they don't put it in their New Jersey state constitution. They don't put it in there at all.
Well, Article 1 of the New Jersey state constitution, I'm looking at it right now online, updated through amendments adopted in November 2019. Article 1, rights and privileges. And so I would go there. I'll put this link, and I know I can't put in the public chat, so I'll put this in the private chat. And then this is a
Thank you
link.
very much, Indy News.
That's
On
a
the
link.
street.
That's a link to the New Jersey State Constitution, Article 1, and this is true of most states. Article 1 of their Constitution is the state Bill of Rights, and that look through. I haven't looked through it yet, but I look through there and see what rights you have under the state Constitution. Those are
Their only Bill of Rights is from 1789. That's the only Bill of Rights they've had. Every time I look up their Bill of Rights, it only brings up that year.
Go to the link I just shared. Go to that link. It is their state constitution, Article 1, rights and privileges.
There you go.
And you read through there and see what your rights and privileges are in there.
That'd be the best point of reference.
Yeah,
also.
Article 1, Section 10. All criminal prosecutions and accused shall have the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury, to be informed of the nature and the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel in his defense. That's one of your rights right there, is a speedy trial. And so then you had to, how is that defined as a speedy trial? That's where you look at statutes and other court cases to find out how the courts are going to define what a speedy trial is.
And as we know from Captain Awesome there, that definition will change according to context.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm looking for...
Ain't that something?
I think for criminal in New Jersey, it's 5 years. That's their speedy trial.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would... here, all political powers inherent in the people. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm reading through this real quick. Religion, civil military right, exercise duty, personal free speech, responsible right of people to be secure. Okay, Article 1, Section 7, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued except upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place and the paper searched. Okay. I've got to take this call real quick. I apologize.
What's up, yo?
Grand Central Station.
We because I was trying to text
Hi,
to
this is
see
Barry.
if News Now was still there, and it cut me off.
Hello?
But we got
Or
back
Dirt
on.
Farmer at some point.
Yeah, we got to do something about you. That was nuts.
I missed that. Do something about what?
About poor Dirt Farmer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So what are you in a barn, or is that your man cave? It's like set away 50 feet from the house. You go out there, you get away from the wife and the kids and shit.
That's his home. Don't be
No, I love it.
sensitive.
Hey,
That's his
I love
actual
it, man.
house.
That's fucking kudos to you, bro.
It's my little shed. It's got my you can't see, it's too dark. It's got my 2 motorcycles.
Yes. Yeah, I seen him in some other videos. I seen that.
TV set up. I got cable ran out to here. But I don't get really good service out here because
But he's just a frauditard with no job who lives in a basement.
Right. Right, I still live with my mom, you know.
Yeah, right. Because you're taking care of her, though.
Yeah. Oh, Proto News Now. I'm sorry, News Media. I've just got News Now, in my brain. I left a negative review for the Publix manager, I think is what you meant to say. That's
Florida.
Kroger. That's
Publix is big in Florida.
Georgia
Right?
shit. That's Georgia, dog. Kroger.
I almost got a
Heather-
DUI in Florida riding a bicycle. Yeah, I
There's
was
a
leaving
place
a bar
called
called the
Murder Kroger
Sergeant.
in Atlanta. Because a lot of murders have happened at that Kroger. But go on.
Yeah,
I lived in go ahead, Tyrant.
No, you first. You go.
I was gonna say I lived in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia for a little while. It was Peachtree City. I lived there for like 6 months, and I almost got a DUI for driving a golf cart on a golf cart path while inebriated, while golfing.
Yeah, ain't that nice?
But
I've never had a sober game of golf except once with.
Well, yeah.
Who the fuck golfs
so-
without drinking?
That's it.
So Peachtree City, Georgia is like a golf mecca, and they have golf paths that go everywhere. So there are people that live there that only drive their golf carts to the grocery store and to the wherever. And they actually had a golf cart cop with a little blue light on a pole on the back of his golf cart. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And we got pulled over by the golf cart cop, and I had to explain to him how I thought this was ridiculous, and I never heard of such craziness. So
I'm double fisting Long Island. What's the problem here? We're on the 9th. I'm just making the turn, pal.
Hey,
Right,
update
yeah,
news.
man.
Send us an email. Any one of us.
Bloody Mary,
You
top
know our
shelf.
emails.
I'll take a top shelf.
RightsCrispy@gmail or SF or SWFL News Now at Gmail, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And rightscrispy@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Terrence Davis, dude.
Or RightsCrispy at Bolt Action News Group, but I never checked that one, and I miss out on
I've
so many
I've
good
never even
stuff.
once opened my Bolt Action News Group email. I know
I'd like to bring us all
he
under one
gave me
umbrella.
one.
I'd like
I
to
know-
get us under the ACSU, American Citizen Surveyors United. We can all pool
Well,
our
I've got-
efforts together.
Rights, I've got something I'm going to email you, and it'll be coming from
Sure.
Nunya Business. The email address is inyabusiness@gmail.com, but the name on it will be Nunya Business.
Right
So,
on.
I'll just tell you that right now so you don't look at it like, okay, it's trash.
No problem.
Hey,
If I may,
Monkey
real quick,
83, what's up?
there's a lot of folks who've watched my video that equate it to marriage and divorce. I just want to say I've never been married before. I'm not divorced to this woman. What we're going through, this woman is not a bad woman. She, every kid needs their mom. If there's anybody watching, I'm not trying to fight mom. I'm not in one of those bitter custody things with a divorce text or anything like that. I'm just looking out for the best interests of my daughter and her physical and mental well-being. And mom's not right now. I think she's grieving over the loss of her mother. She's never been the same mentally. She served out of Connecticut Army National Guard, 134th MP unit, served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. She is a veteran. She
The 143rd.
143rd MP unit.
Yep.
And,
I used to be there too.
Yeah, right on. And she put her time in. She almost died on the plane ride back through a staph infection, something of that nature. I mean, the ride from Iraq to the United States is pretty long, so blood clots in her legs, the whole nine. But she's not a bad woman, and I'm not that bad guy everybody's trolling about. I'm just she's not healthy right now. She's not making the best decisions, and as a result, things are the way they are. And I wasn't even going to publicize any of it, but it's something I think could be very fruitful for a number of men, specifically in Connecticut, who have had to deal with this court system and the obvious bias and prejudice against the male. I'm treated like a deadbeat dad, essentially, and it's very disturbing, to say the least. You could be the best dad in the world, and you're treated like a dog,
like a criminal.
Yeah, pretty much like a criminal.
Can I say something? I
No,
don't like Connecticut. I live there, and I can't stand it. I'm never going
I'm
back.
so proud that you moved out. I'm envious and jealous of that fact, sir. I got at least a few years. Even if I'm trying to leave, I got at least a few years here before I
grew up mainly in the hood in Miami, but I moved back and forth to Connecticut, New Jersey, Tampa, all over the place. But when I lived in Connecticut, that was the worst hood in my life. In Bridgeport,
where were you living? Bridgeport. Yeah, you're in the shit right there.
They got some serious stuff going down right now. Village. They tore down the entire place because it was just slums. They filmed a movie called Judgment Night there with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Kidding.
Yeah, that was filmed there because they didn't have to do anything. They just left that was. Set director was like, I know exactly where we ought to go. It was horrible.
Hey, true story. When I was a cop, they filmed Pete Cadillac that's supposed to take place in Georgia, up in upstate in Greenville County, South Carolina, where I was a sheriff's deputy. Got to actually meet Burnett Peters and very, very briefly Clint Eastwood. But they changed all they changed all the signs up there to be Georgia, signs on the road because of this, all the chase scenes and stuff. And I was patrolling at night. I pulled over some drunk, and he was so confused. Oh, it was hilarious because he thought he was in Georgia.
Was he an orangutan? Is that how you met Clint Eastwood? You pulled over an orangutan driving.
No, no orangutan with him. That's right. I didn't mean to interrupt your thing anyway.
That's right.
I got a lot of family in law enforcement and Connecticut Fire Department. My grandfather used to be a police officer in the capital state, arrested some famous wrestler and all that good stuff. My father lived through the riots of this. I think they went from 68 to 73.
Oh, man.
And Connecticut changed a lot in that 5-year period. I mean, these gung-ho Italians out there in the Hartford capital area, they got their shit pushed in, and their businesses burnt down, and they continued to rebuild and try to have it out for a good 5 years. Finally, they were like, well, obviously we're not welcome here. And I think from 1973 to this point forward, everything's taken a turn for the worse. and it's really going to take a good group of minds. No individual can do it alone. It's going to take a group of collective minds, like-minded minds, individuals like us. Not to be conceited or anything, but individuals like us getting together on a regular and hashing out the problems, not just on a local and state level, but a nationwide level. And we're going to have to figure some sort of way to get out of this peacefully. And it's becoming harder and harder, as far as I can tell, to see a peaceful way out of this. As far as I can tell, we've already been engaged in the Civil War. It's been going on for many, many years, decades, really. Yeah. But it's really metastasized into something special, if you will, in the last 12 years. And
yeah, that's true.
I just want to make an observation. Tyrant Slayer, you've got a wonderful. You got a voice that is made for radio. And between the two of us, we've got it made because I've got a face for radio.
I would love to get together for podcasting. I'd love to get together. I got a guy, I'm calling him Nick on drums. I've conversed with him about a number of, we'll say, parody journalism ideas, like a real Saturday Night Live thing. I've got a friend from Vietnam who went through the nightmare of becoming a legal U.S. citizen. Under the guise of people who had no clue what the fuck they were doing, and actually held the entire process up and put him at grave risk the entire time. Man. He's willing to get engaged with me and do what we're calling yellow journalism, with the pun intended and all of that. And
I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking to network with everyone around the country who is of like mind and feeling the pressure of what's upon us, and trying to change things for the positive, to take the power back to a degree. We definitely need to coordinate and do something if we're going to be able to do this peacefully. I think keeping things exclusively to the ballot box and to voting is not working. Anybody?
Yeah, and what was the organization you said you wanted to bring us under?
I would like to try to brand and create an umbrella for all of us. I would like to call it the ACSU, American Citizen Surveyors United, is what I'm hoping to bring out of Tyrant Slayer Studios, which is just a premise for. Yeah, connecting with the country.
Can you give us a brief mission statement on our way out? We got to wrap this up.
The mission statement would be, we need transparency, accountability, and individual freedom to reign supreme over the bureaucracies and the constant fight that is coming from the state, local, and federal government against us. Basically, the people need to take the power back and take control over their own lives back, and be able to have the means to facilitate and bring into fruition control over their own futures. And that's what the ACSU will be about. We need to essentially circumvent or undermine the corporate media entities and bring into fruition the People's Press Studio, which would be the ACSU.
People, right on. That would count us in, man.
For the people, of the people, by the people.
Bang is affiliated with ACSU.
I knew right away after seeing Captain Awesome's content that this was an individual I would be able to reach out to, and hopefully great avenues with. And you guys are all a part of that. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be able to talk with you folks.
Glad to have you, man. And Indie News on the Street, always good to see you. And for the people, can you
have
for sure, brother, for sure. And for the people, can you tell us maybe one thing we can do for you as the audience of people who are watching, people who will see this later? Can we call a number? Perhaps. But no, that would probably fuck up your groove, huh?
The only number I have is my cell number, but I do have an email. If people have anything they want to send me, any help or any advice.
Yeah.
My email is it's gonna be eroman2222 @gmail. Simple.
Right on.
And yeah, I'll be excited to see. I'll be excited to see what people have to say.
Thank you
Well,
very
good
much
luck.
for your
You have our
service, by the way.
support, bro. Yeah, thank
Was
you.
that E? I'm sorry. Was that E Roman ROMAN 22?
2222, right? At gmail.com.
Yes. Yep.
But it was
E.
Roman
Roman.
ROMAN. All right. I just put it in the chat correctly. Tell me if it's wrong.
So,
But I just popped it up there. E Roman 2222 at Gmail.
Hey, do you have a YouTube channel?
no, I don't have a YouTube channel.
Create one. Become a YouTube creator. It's great.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
great advice
was
right
thinking
there.
about it.
I think you should
I
do
mean,
Yeah,
it.
that's the right way of
People
doing it.
don't write in journals anymore. They do this.
Right.
So helps you grow.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it, guys. I'll think about it.
We were,
Late to
we,
the
were
show.
just, we were just shutting down late to the show.
I mean, you opened it up great.
Love your
You're a
hat,
great
brother.
speaker.
Love your hat.
We thank you also for sharing your story.
Yes.
News Now, South Florida, that's the story of my life. Day late and a dollar short. You know, that's what I know. So it's all good.
There's a law firm. There's a law firm here called there's a lawyer here called Stanley Kahn, and he says, Stanley Kahn, the name says it all. And the name of the show, the name says it all.
Yeah.
He was one of the first lawyers to advertise. He was way back when lawyers weren't allowed to advertise, but he kind of broke that mold and got in trouble with the Bar Association and sued him over it. But that was his. It was his hat was Stanley Kahn. The name says it all.
All my
all right. On that happy note, folks, it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Thank you all for being here. Thanks to everybody for being on the panel. Thanks for everybody in the chat. And see you Thursday or Saturday and then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yeah, Saturday, Independence Day.
That's right.
Oh yeah!
Happy birthday, America!
We'll be outside of the governor's mansion in Connecticut. If anyone is local or in the area that is watching, Tyrant Slayer Studios, my wife and I, possibly our kids, will be out there in front of the governor's mansion protesting for liability, transparency, all that good stuff, accountability.
Yeah, we'll be looking for you.
Check it out.
And honestly, we need to go ahead late to the show. We're ending on this. Go ahead.
Thanks for letting me up real quick, but I just want to give a PSA. I heard 4th of July Independence Day is canceled in 2020. Peace. Love you guys. Bang, baby. Hit that song.
I just want to say, I think Not an Imposter is indeed a troll. Telling me not to say something. You wanna get me to say something? Tell me the opposite.
Say it. Say it.
Thank you, Leslie Savan, for your stalwart support. We love you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the platform this evening, gentlemen.
Ronald,
yes, sir. And I'm not 100% sure we'll be on Saturday, being that it's 4th of July. But we'll send out a message if we're not. So
well, check me out. I'll be on. I'll be live all day, man.
Right on, Tyrus.
All right, man.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Be well, be swell. Thanks for having us.
All right. Good night, guys.
Bang.